"You're not supposed to be here," the flight attendant snapped, loud enough for half the cabin to turn. Maya Matthews looked up from her tablet. Calm, silent. "Excuse me?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This seat is for our elite passengers. You're clearly in the wrong section," Brenda added, arms folded, eyes scanning the quiet 13-year-old like she was a trespasser in some velvet-curtained club. A few passengers turned, curious. One woman muttered, "Seriously? They're letting kids up here now?" "Before we show you what Maya did next, tell us where you're watching from, and hit like if you've ever seen someone judged just for how they look." "I have a ticket," Maya said, holding it up. Brenda didn't even glance. "You'll need to move. Now." Maya stood. No tears, no protest. Just the heavy silence of someone used to being underestimated. She gathered her backpack, tucked her tablet under her arm, and followed Brenda down the aisle, past row after row of polite avoidance and stolen glances. Someone in business class chuckled. Another whispered, "Probably stand by." Her new seat, 35C, middle row. Between a man who sighed loudly when she arrived and a teenager blasting music through cheap earbuds. Maya sat down without a word. The seat was warm. The space was tight. Her shoulders didn't fit. She pulled out her laptop and slipped a small leather bracelet over her wrist, stitched with fading thread. Old. Familiar. The screen blinked once. FlightGrid Nexus override. Authorization detected. She didn't touch anything, not yet. Instead, she looked out the window, quietly. The clouds didn't care who you were. Brenda had humiliated her in front of strangers. She'd ripped her out of her seat because she didn't belong. But Maya didn't need to argue. She had something better. A system her mother built, a key she now carried, and a network about to go very, very quiet. 5 minutes later, 152 airports would lock. But for now, Maya just waited. In seat 35C, Maya barely moved. Her fingers hovered over the touchpad. Steady. The flight grid icon kept blinking in the corner of her screen, waiting like it remembered her, just like her mother said it would. Years ago, Dr. Eleanor Sinclair had created a prototype, a digital ethics protocol meant to protect passengers from discrimination, bullying, or hidden bias, especially children. The airlines ignored her. Some even laughed her out of the room, but her father hadn't. After her mom passed, William Matthews secretly funded the system's expansion, quietly, globally, and for one reason, so Maya would never be powerless again. Today was that moment. Maya clicked. A soft chime rang. The screen pulsed. Clearance requested. Sinclair access tier. Child override. She slid her bracelet across the sensor. Match confirmed. Initiating Tier 1 Dignity Protocol. One tap later, the network pulsed. Inside terminals across 152 airports, subtle disruptions began. Boarding queues froze. Loyalty kiosks reset. And elite check-in systems glitched in real time. None of it pointed back to Maya. Not yet. But in San Francisco, a systems analyst on the ground leaned back and whispered, "Something's wrong with the ethics gateway." Meanwhile, in row 35C, Maya just tucked the bracelet back in her hoodie. A kid in the next row laughed loudly over some video game. The man beside her sneezed, then wiped his nose on his sleeve. Still, Maya was calm, because deep down, she knew something no one else did. You can kick her out of first class, but you can't stop a system she helped build. Back in the front, Brenda the flight attendant hadn't noticed a thing, but that was about to change. The first alert came in quietly, a minor authentication mismatch at LaGuardia's loyalty system. Nothing urgent, just enough to raise an eyebrow in the IT room. 2 minutes later, Denver, Chicago, and Heathrow reported simultaneous VIP access glitches. Elite check-in lanes halted. Lounge entries wouldn't scan. Then the boarding gate software at LAX froze mid-update. In San Francisco, a systems engineer stared at his screen. Wait, all of these are syncing to the same error signature. He flagged it, then blinked. Is this tied to FlightGrid Nexus? Across the world, 152 airports were now affected. Most didn't realize it yet. Back on Flight 4392, Brenda walked down the aisle, oblivious. She didn't notice the soft hum from row 35. Didn't see the blinking light on Maya's laptop fade out, leaving behind nothing but the reflection of clouds in the window. In the cockpit, the captain received a coded message from the airline's main server. FlightGrid Tier 1 protocol activated. Ethics hold engaged. He frowned. We've never seen this before. Co-pilot looked confused. Is that a cybersecurity alert? Not exactly. Looks like a federal override. From who? No answer. Meanwhile, a woman in 2B tapped her screen and groaned. Why can't I check my loyalty points? A man in 1A couldn't access his pre-cleared customs form. None of them knew what was happening. Not yet. But back in seat 35C, Maya sat still, listening to the soft rising murmur of confusion. A baby cried. Someone pressed the call button. An older man muttered, "What kind of airline is this?" Maya didn't flinch. She didn't need them to understand. She only needed 5 minutes of silence. In the next 60 seconds, every elite customer on the flight would lose access. And the woman who dragged her out of first class, she would soon be called to the front, not for service, but for answers. At the FAA's West Coast Operations Center, a row of analysts stared at their monitors. "This can't be random," said Elena Moore, lead systems integrity officer. "We've got a mirrored ethics hold across 152 airports, all triggered within a 6-minute window." "Could be a breach," someone mumbled. Elena shook her head. "It's not a breach. It's internal. FlightGrid Nexus isn't supposed to activate unless..." She paused. "Unless someone with a Sinclair access tier called for it." She narrowed her eyes at the blinking code trace. The origin point wasn't a tower, not an admin server, not even a ground control relay. It was mobile, airborne. "It's coming from Flight 4392, mid-air." A quiet silence fell over the room. Back in the cockpit of Flight 4392, the captain's headset crackled. "This is FAA Ops. We've identified your flight as the current source of a system-wide FlightGrid Nexus lockdown." He blinked. "Excuse me? Please confirm if anyone on board has access credentials associated with Project Sinclair." He turned to his co-pilot. "No crew member would..." "Wait, Project Sinclair?" The co-pilot leaned closer. "That's the ethical override system, right? Built for discrimination protocol enforcement?" The captain sat back. "It was never deployed publicly." "Well, someone on your flight just deployed it." In the cabin, Brenda walked past row 35 again, grumbling about tech failures and cheap upgrades ruining premium flights. Maya didn't look up. She kept her screen dark, hands still, face calm. She'd read about this in her mother's journal, a network wide enough to paralyze a continent, but quiet enough to start with just one girl in coach. Now it was happening, and still, no one suspected her. Yet. The knock on the cockpit door was sharp and fast. Brenda stepped in, confused. "You called for me?" The captain didn't look up. He was on a secure call with FAA ground control, eyes scanning a list of names on the passenger manifest. "Yeah," he said finally. "We need to verify something." Brenda crossed her arms. "Okay." "Row 1A. Who was originally seated there?" Brenda blinked. "What?" "The name on the manifest doesn't match the woman sitting there now." "You moved someone earlier, right?" "Oh yeah." She waved a hand like it was nothing. "Some kid, blonde girl, said she had a first-class ticket, but that seat's usually reserved for, real diamond status passengers." "And what did she do when you asked her to move?" "Didn't argue. Just got up and walked to the back. Didn't even look me in the eye." The co-pilot raised an eyebrow. The captain kept his voice steady. "What was her name?" Brenda paused, starting to realize this wasn't a normal question. "Matthews," she said. "Maya Matthews." Silence. Then the captain turned slowly toward her. Did she say anything else? No. Why? She's just a kid. At FAA headquarters, Elena Moore's screen refreshed. Match found. Maya Sinclair Matthews, Tier Access, Child Override, Inherited Authority System Key. Valid, activation location, row 35C. Elena let out a low breath. She's not just a kid, she whispered. Meanwhile, in 35C, Maya leaned her head back, closing her eyes. She heard footsteps near the cockpit. Brenda whispering fast, a call being placed, but no one was coming for her yet. No alarms, no fingers pointed. They were still underestimating her, exactly how she needed it. Elena Moore Go Nan Vau Hei Thong FAA Nexus. Request override authorization, Tier Sinclair. Access denied. Attempt manual rollback. System locked. A new message flashed across her screen. In compliance with Sinclair protocol, active ethical override can only be cleared by the activating agent. Clearance must be granted manually. Local input restricted. Elena blinked. The system just locked us out. Her deputy leaned over. That means the only person who can shut it down is Maya. At JFK, Delta's loyalty desk was in chaos. No upgrades, no lounge access, no status scans, one executive barked. What are we even running here, a bus station? Their system lead tapped his screen, pale. It's not us. We're being flagged by FlightGrid. It says we're under ethics quarantine. So unlock it. We can't. It's tied to a Tier 1 lockdown. Global Integrity Protocol. The executive exhaled. Who holds the key? The lead hesitated. A 13-year-old, on flight 4392. Back in the cockpit, the captain read the most recent FAA directive aloud. All system rollback requests must now go directly through passenger Maya Sinclair Matthews. No manual bypass. She holds the final credential. Brenda laughed awkwardly. That's insane. She's a kid. The captain didn't laugh. In row 35C, Maya opened her laptop again, not to check on the system, to read a message. It was from her father. If they want back in, they'll have to talk to you first. It's your system now. Maya smiled slightly, just for herself. They moved her out of first class, but now, every airport in the country was waiting on her permission to function, and she hadn't decided yet. At 11:43 a.m. ST, LAX, O'Hare, and Heathrow issued the same emergency code. Request diplomatic clearance from activating agent. Passenger 35C, flight 4392. By noon, Maya's name was on over 140 internal escalation chains. Each message said the same thing. Requesting clearance, open to discussion, formal apology pending. In the control room at JFK, a regional ops director looked like he hadn't slept in days. This is absurd, he muttered. Why are we negotiating with a middle schooler? His deputy didn't look up from his tablet, because that middle schooler inherited override rights from the Sinclair protocol, the one your board rejected 3 years ago. The director rubbed his temples. God. On board flight 4392, Maya quietly typed. She wasn't angry. She wasn't yelling. Didn't ask for a press release. Didn't threaten legal action. Just 3 words. Let her say it. In the galley, Brenda laughed with another flight attendant. Can you believe all these delays? Over what, some glitchy loyalty system? She hadn't heard the whispers yet. Didn't know FAA flagged her flight. Didn't know 4 terminals were now naming her in internal memos. Didn't know her name had been sent, quietly, to a federal ethics commission. Back in row 35C, Maya didn't flinch. She didn't need to confront Brenda. Didn't need to announce who she was. That wasn't the point. Because this wasn't just about a seat. It was about a system that believed power only sat in first class. Now, that system was begging for access, and she still hadn't clicked approve. At precisely 12:27 p.m., a high-priority message pinged the FAA's national server, stamped Tier Zeta, Civil Override Communication. To Passenger Maya Sinclair Matthews. From Interagency Ethics Authority, IEA. Inside, the message was simple. Ms. Matthews, your current protocol has initiated widespread system impact across 142 airports, 11 international partner gateways, and 3 alliance platforms. We respectfully request direct dialogue. Please advise terms of resolution. We acknowledge your authority per Sinclair Protocol Section 13. They didn't call her young lady, not Miss. They called her Ms. Matthews. Across the country, at least 18 airport directors opened their inboxes to identical warnings. Flight 4392 passenger Brenda Haynes has been flagged in connection with an ethics suppression incident. Advisory, pending investigation. Immediate response required if involved with frontline discrimination. And just like that, the names flipped. Maya became the contact point. Brenda became the problem. Back in the cabin, the captain stepped out. Not to speak to Maya. He knew better now. Instead, he walked toward the galley, where Brenda stood refilling her coffee. "Brenda," he said, neutral. "Got a weird one. FAA's asking about your earlier seat reassignment. They want a full statement." She frowned. "What?" "They're sending it to ethics." Brenda let out a dry laugh. "They're wasting time. That girl's a nobody. First class was overbooked." "She wasn't in the wrong seat," the captain interrupted. "Her name was on it." Brenda blinked. "But she looked..." The words caught in her throat. She looked what? Young? Quiet? Not expensive enough? The captain didn't press further. He just handed her a printed copy of the memo. Brenda scanned it. Her name, her badge number, timestamp, report under Tier 1 Passenger Violation, Ethics Override Event. Meanwhile, Maya remained still. She hadn't responded to the FAA yet, hadn't acknowledged the IEA's respectful language, didn't even flinch when the captain passed her row and offered a quiet nod. She just stared at the clouds beyond the window. To anyone else, she was just a kid looking outside. But inside, she was holding the full weight of an industry's breath, because they knew she could end it all with one sentence, or rebuild it with one condition. And she was still deciding. At 2:03 p.m., after nearly 3 hours of silence, Maya opened her laptop again. No one watched her, no camera crew, no press team, just her fingers hovering over the keyboard, the hum of the aircraft cabin faint in the background. She logged into the Sinclair core interface, authenticated with Retinal ID. A new prompt awaited. "You hold exclusive override authority. Do you wish to respond to FAA IEA request?" She clicked yes, then typed just 5 words, "Only under new ethical terms." Below, she attached a document, one her mother had written years ago, a draft the airlines rejected back then. Now, it returned with a new title. The Passenger Equity Charter inside were 5 conditions for unlocking the system. Mandatory ethics certification for all flight crews. Renewed annually. Real-time reporting dashboard for all incidents flagged by passengers. Third-party audit of all first-class boarding rejections in the past 3 years. Protection clause for underage travelers facing staff aggression. Public apology issued by each participating airline, acknowledging systemic bias. No negotiation, no PR spin. No silence disguised as company policy. At FAA HQ, the document arrived. Elena Moore read it once, then again, then looked at the digital signature. Authorized and submitted via Sinclair Protocol, Tier 13. Inherited authority, Maya Sinclair Matthews. "It's her," she said aloud. Within minutes, the message hit every partner dashboard. Delta, United, Skylight, Astrojet, even international partners in Heathrow and Tokyo Narita. The verdict? Comply or remain shut down. Across the country, loyalty program systems collapsed into ethics lockdown mode. Lounge access frozen. Upgrade privileges revoked. All terminals redirected to a holding loop. That same hour, Clearboard, the federal ethics compliance platform, issued a mass ethics downgrade. Status: non-compliant, 142 airports, 9 major carriers. Immediate action required. Maya didn't say another word. She didn't need to. The system had already spoken. At the White House's Transportation Ethics Division, a senior official burst into a closed-door briefing. "She triggered Clause 13, he said. The room froze. "You mean Sinclair's override?" He nodded. "And she just forced 9 airlines into a full-scale equity compliance review. FAA has no choice. They're calling a federal hearing." Back on Flight 4392, Maya closed her laptop gently. She felt no triumph, no smugness, just peace, like she'd finally said what had been sitting on her chest for years. And now, the entire country would have to listen. Because she hadn't asked for revenge, she demanded accountability. By 3:32 p.m., the FAA released an official bulletin. The passenger equity charter has been reviewed and approved for emergency implementation. All U.S. domestic and partner airlines must comply within 72 hours to resume access to the National Loyalty Grid and Inter-Airport Coordination System. Every airport that had frozen, every loyalty program in standstill, every frustrated elite passenger demanding answers. They all had just one woman to thank, and she was sitting quietly in row 35C, reading a book. United Airlines was first. Their CEO appeared in a live stream within 25 minutes of the FAA bulletin. "We apologize, publicly and without qualification, to Maya Sinclair Matthews and to every passenger who has ever been dismissed, profiled, or disrespected while flying with us. We are committed to full compliance and to the future Maya just helped create." Then came Delta, then AstraJet, then Skynova. One by one, 9 major carriers issued apologies, real ones. No vague, "We regret the inconvenience." No, if anyone felt offended. They named the harm, acknowledged the history, and signed. Inside the flight, the captain received a new directive. Passenger Maya Sinclair Matthews is to be offered full restoration of VIP privileges, including escorted re-entry to first class and in-flight recognition at her discretion. He made it halfway down the aisle before Maya looked up and simply shook her head. "I'm good here." He nodded. No arguments. She wasn't doing this for perks. She was doing it because someone had to. At the gate, Brenda stood stiff in front of 2 uniformed federal officers and 1 representative from the Ethics Enforcement Division. "This is insane," she muttered, trying to force a laugh. The officer didn't laugh. "We're conducting an inquiry under the FAA's updated discrimination clause. You've been named in a Tier 1 ethics override event." Brenda's eyes darted between the agents. "You mean that girl in economy? She caused this?" "No," the agent said. "You did. She just made it visible." A second later, her badge was taken. Her access card revoked. Her schedule blanked out. The irony? She'd never even asked Maya her name. Maya walked down the jet bridge like anyone else. No red carpet, no announcement, no applause. But every person who passed her phone knew the story. By now, headlines had gone global. 13-year-old shuts down 142 airports over seat discrimination. Passenger ethics charter passed after viral override incident. "Who is Maya Sinclair Matthews?" the world asked. But Maya didn't answer. Not yet. That night, Maya sat on the floor of her room in Chicago, her back to the wall, laptop in front of her. A new message popped up. "FAA requests your appearance before Senate Committee on Aviation Ethics Oversight. Are you available?" She didn't type anything yet, not because she was scared. She was just thinking. This wasn't about a spotlight. It was about systemic memory. Systems always forget. They issue apologies, then erase the records. But Maya wouldn't let them forget this one. So instead of answering, she opened a new document. At the top, she wrote, "Airspace belongs to all of us." Below, she began drafting a permanent framework. a watchdog board of youth travelers, families, and ethicists to monitor airline practices for years to come. No more silent violations. No more business as usual. In the months that followed, the passenger equity charter reshaped the industry. Flight crews now required annual ethics clearance. Passengers could flag discriminatory incidents in real time. Public dashboards tracked which airlines honored and violated the charter. Some airlines resisted. They paid the price. Others embraced it and rebuilt trust, one boarding gate at a time. And at the center of it all was the girl who never raised her voice. Maya never responded to the FAA's media request. But 6 months later, she sent a single line to the Senate subcommittee reviewing compliance. Power isn't in the seat you're given. It's in what you do when they try to take it. 6 weeks later, under soft winter light in Washington, D.C., the chamber of the Senate Committee on Aviation Ethics sat in respectful silence. Cameras rolled. Reporters typed in real time, but all eyes were on the girl standing behind the microphone, Maya Sinclair Matthews. 13. In white sneakers, a navy blazer, and calm that made even the room's sharpest critics shift in their seats. She wasn't nervous. She was ready. The chairwoman adjusted her glasses. Ms. Matthews, you have the floor. Maya nodded once, then looked straight ahead. I didn't plan to shut down airports. I didn't plan to embarrass anyone. I planned to sit in the seat my father booked, finish a book, and go home. A few lawmakers smiled faintly. But I got kicked out of that seat. Not because I did something wrong, but because I didn't look like I belonged. The smile lines disappeared. That moment could have ended right there. But what if I stayed silent? What if every kid, black, white, or any color, kept getting taught that silence keeps them safe? She let the pause breathe. Airlines don't just fly planes, they fly values. And if we're not flying with dignity, we shouldn't be flying at all. No one moved. Not even the stenographer. Behind the panel, seated in the public rows, a man quietly pulled off his cap. His name tag read, Liam Parker, passenger, Flight 4392. He was the man sitting across the aisle that day, the one who looked away when Brenda pushed Maya, and now his eyes filled with tears. He had written Maya a letter afterward. Never sent it. He didn't think she'd remember him. But as Maya finished her speech and walked down the carpeted aisle, their eyes met. She paused. He stood. Ms. Matthews, he whispered, voice cracking. I should have said something back then. Maya didn't lecture him. She just smiled. You just did. The next morning, the Washington Post headline read, 13-year-old shifts industry with one sentence, fly with dignity, or don't fly at all. But Maya didn't read it. She was back in Chicago, sipping hot cocoa with her dog curled at her feet, watching snow gather on the windowsill. The skies were clearing, not just outside, but everywhere. 1 month after Maya's Senate testimony, the FAA released its formal report. Title: Final Ethics Assessment, Passenger Equity Breach, Flight 4392. The language was sharp. No dressing it up. Flight attendant Brenda K. was found in violation of Tier 1 passenger dignity protocol. The removal of minor passenger Maya Sinclair Matthews from her assigned seat was unjustified and racially biased. The crew failed to de-escalate and perpetuated discriminatory behavior. Outcome: Brenda, permanently barred from any federally licensed airline, the airline, 18.2 ATM in federal fines, and suspended from international partnership routes for 60 days. Ethics Compliance Index, downgraded to probationary, requiring full retraining of all cabin staff. The industry took note. So did the world. On a rainy Tuesday morning, Brenda stood in front of a small ethics panel for her final statement. Hair tied back, suit stiff, but the confidence was gone. They asked her one question. Would you like to acknowledge the passenger you wronged? She hesitated, then gave the answer everyone expected. I was doing my job. The room went silent. No remorse. No learning. That silence cost her everything. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, Maya was invited back to Washington. Not for questioning, but for recognition. A formal letter was delivered to her home. You are hereby appointed honorary member of the National Ethics Review Board for Youth Aviation Standards. Your insight will inform future protocol protecting minors across all U.S. commercial airlines. Her dad looked at her, a slow smile spreading. You know what this means, right? Maya nodded, half a grin tugging at her mouth. No one's getting kicked from their seat just because they look different. Not on my watch. In April, the passenger equity charter became a federal requirement, not just a temporary fix. By June, over 9 million travelers had interacted with the new real-time dignity feedback system, flagging praise and abuse alike. Every major airline added an ethics compliance score next to ticket prices. Transparency became the new luxury. But Maya didn't ask for more press. She didn't go on a speaking tour. She declined every podcast, every CNN interview, every offer for a book deal. Because this was never about her name. It was about what people do when the system gets it wrong, and who has the courage to make it right. Late one night, Maya and her dad sat watching a rerun of a cartoon from when she was little. Her phone buzzed. A message popped up. Flight 2931, VIP boarding approved. Ethics score, 98%. Seat 1A, reserved for Sinclair Matthews. She smiled, then hit decline. She'd book economy. She always did. Because for Maya, justice wasn't about moving forward. It was about making sure no one got pushed back. The skies hadn't just reopened. They had relearned how to listen. And somewhere, across 152 airports and thousands of gates, a quiet promise echoed through every boarding call. Every seat has a story, and every story matters. Have you ever seen someone get mistreated just because of how they look? Or maybe you were the one who stayed silent, like Mr. Parker did? Tell us in the comments. Or just drop a if you've ever wished you spoke up but didn't. And while you're here, tell us where you're watching from. Because stories like Maya's, they don't just belong in the sky. They belong in every home that believes in dignity.